Hey, how's it going, AJ?
Good, bro.
As a fellow June 2nd birthday, I got to say, I'm honored to be talking to you today.
Oh, wow. All right.
So obviously we're celebrating the WWE Untold, your documentary coming up this Sunday on the WWE Network, the story behind your WWE debut. First and foremost, how much have these past 5 years flown by for you?
Man, they have flown by. It's unbelievable how quick it has gone. I mean, I still remember, the debut. Like, that's still fresh in my head. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was 5 years ago. Someone said to me, they just, hey, yeah, January book. I'm thinking, holy crap, I'm about to be in the business 22 years. Like, how did that happen so quickly? And then we go on to talk about, remember when you're the young guy? Oh, yeah, they're so crazy.
It's nuts. And people have been reminiscing all week as to what they were doing when that moment happened. It's one of those wrestling moments where you're thinking to yourself, where was I when AJ Styles debuted in WWE? So it's going to be really cool for people to be revisiting that when they watch The Untold this Sunday. When you're having, you talk all about the process in the documentary, but when you're having your final matches with Ring of Honor at the Final Battle pay-per-view or a New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom, did you know at that point that you were WWE bound, or at what point did it officially become official that you were coming to WWE?
Well, I knew that I was WWE bound when I had that last match with in Japan.
Mhm.
I knew I was on my way. Did I know I was in the Rumble? Nope. I didn't know. It seemed like it was to the very last minute that I was even going to be in the Royal Rumble.
And you mentioned that in the documentary too, that it was a week out, that you didn't know until that you were going to be in the Royal Rumble match itself. Were there any other internal plans that you know of that you were privy to as opposed to what you would be doing instead if you weren't in the Royal Rumble match, or maybe saving you as a post WrestleMania surprise, for example?
Yeah, no, I was told zero things. No one kind of kept me in the loop, so I was just kind of waiting. Like, oh, I hope I'm able to get into the Royal Rumble. That'd be cool, but I understand if I'm not.
Yeah, no, it was cool because we hear a lot from Samoa Joe, who, of course, you have a lot of history with from your Impact days. And he's in the documentary as well. And he mentioned that he picked you up from the airport that morning in Orlando or in Tampa, I think he said, before you guys went to Orlando for the show. Was it tough keeping your debut a secret from all your friends? And who else aside from Joe knew about that ahead of time?
Literally almost no one knew about debut. I didn't really tell anybody. Because it was one of those things I didn't know exactly what was going to actually be in the Rumble, or was it doing something on the Rumble? Like, I didn't know. So I didn't tell a soul, as crazy as that sounds.
No, it definitely came off as a genuine surprise when it happened. And you've been a rare case too, because we've seen a lot of, former, people outside of WWE, whether it be from New Japan or Ring of Honor, Impact, whatever, come to WWE and they have success, but no one quite to your extent, where you've been a two-time WWE champion. You headlined WrestleMania last year with The Undertaker among facing other legends at various other pay-per-views. What do you think has made you such an exception to that rule, where you come in and literally, and within no time, you're a top guy? Is it a combination of talent and timing and circumstances and stuff like that?
I think so. Talent, timing, circumstances, being able to adapt and learn. The thing is, when I got to the WWE, I still had a lot to learn with the way things are done there, because it is done differently. Trust me when I say this. It is, and the thing is, you have to be told one time, and that's it. And you have to get it right. You don't want to make the big man mad. So you want to be able to listen, understand, and get it done right the first time. And I was able to do that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some things I still screw up. Like everyone else, I'm not perfect. But that was what it was about. And humbling yourself too, by the way. There's some humbling experiences that I went through in the WWE that I appreciate to this day.
And when you come in, it's such a special moment, because just seeing you in the Rumble itself was cool. But I think the fact that you came in as AJ Styles, as yourself, move set completely the same. Even your logo, the P1, the Phenomenal One logo, was exactly the same as it was in New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, et cetera, et cetera. Was that an important thing to you, to come in maintaining that consistency in your image that you built up before WWE?
Not at all. Then it wasn't, the thing. I remember Triple H and I were talking, and I said, he's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep your name. I said, well, that is fine. I have no problem.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I have this huge tattoo on my side that says AJ. It's not really my name. It's my kids' initials and birthdays, but just throwing that out there. So luckily I was able to keep the whole name AJ Styles. And it kind of worked out for the best.
You talk about in the documentary that extensive phone call with Triple H that you had in the hotel room the night of the Ring of Honor show. You didn't mention this in the doc, but was there at any point the thought of you going to NXT first? Because that seems to be the process. Or was it just straight to the main roster? Was that just a priority for you, or is that just something that kind of happened?
Well, I mean, I would have, I think, gone to NXT for a couple months and to get more familiar with what was going on, how it's done there. But I felt like, as far as my career is concerned, I really didn't have the time to spend in NXT. I needed to be on the main roster so that, somehow, some way, make myself a bigger star. So in the end, this is a job, and I'd like to make more money as much as I can before I retire.
And I think fans are going to be happy to know that this documentary is going to feature an extensive amount of footage from your Impact days too, which isn't always a given. We see a lot of it on the network. We don't really hear much about Impact or TNA on WWE TV itself for obvious reasons. Was it cool to be able to get that footage and be able to talk about your time in TNA? Because that was a big part of obviously what got you to where you are today in WWE.
Well, you've seen more of the documentary than I have.
Okay.
So I haven't seen these matches. But I think that's cool that they were able to work with them, because a lot of my career was done there. The majority of my career was done in TNA. And I was able to learn from a lot of different people. You know, we talk about guys who used to be in WWE, Booker T and Kurt Angle, who I had fantastic. I wrestled, Kevin Nash, a ton of different guys who were in WWE at one time. And listen, I was able to learn from them as well. So I wouldn't be the wrestler that I am today had I not been in the ring with guys like that.
And has it been cool to kind of see that transition over the last couple of years? Because when you first showed up in WWE and right before then, you would literally never hear the initials TNA or Impact, whether it be on a WWE show or the network or whatever. And then fast forward a couple of years, we have that episode of Table for Three with yourself, Jeff Jarrett, and Sting, where you guys talk all about your time in Impact, which is just, it blows everyone's mind. Has it been cool to see that transition to kind of open those doors, I guess, so to speak, from WWE into New Japan and Impact and have them referenced on the shows?
I think so. I think it'd be great if we all could be able to use footage from way back when and wherever. I mean, it's just a history of this character. You know, the one thing about Sting and Jeff Jarrett and AJ Styles is that they've always been the same character. It's always been them. There may be some changes in that character, but it's really that same name comes along with it. So I think it's great that we're able to go back and grab some footage from different places and that we can all work together and, for the good of entertainment.
And initially you left Impact, and you talk about that in the documentary. You left there in late 2013 at the onset of 2014. It was a good 2 years before you finally arrived in WWE. Of course, you spent that time in Ring of Honor, New Japan, before coming to the company, the Royal Rumble. What do you think it was that led to you? It was obviously the timing was a factor, but coming to WWE in January of 2016, as opposed to January of 2014, what do you think changed in that 2 year period? And was it proving yourself over in New Japan?
Well, maybe it was just proving myself that definitely I could work in Japan and have great matches over there. Granted, I was able to have great matches with great talent, so that made it easy. But also is that some of the talent that they had gotten previously from TNA at that time, it didn't pan out. So maybe they were a little, WWE was a little gun shy. Plus Samoa Joe, I think, was a big help going to NXT first, being great talent, being very professional. I think that helped tremendously. So just, I think little things like that are able to help me find my way to WWE.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I would agree. Impact fans actually heard your entrance music recently on the show when Hornswoggle, of all people, came out. I think they called him the Wee Nominal One or something like that. I had to get your thoughts on that. That aired recently on the show. Did you see the Swoggle appearance where he came out to the Get Ready to Fly music on the show?
I didn't see it. I saw the pictures. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Good for him. The Wee Nominal One is hilarious to me. So if he's able to make a little money off the Wee Nominal One, then go for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was cool to hear the music again, if nothing else. Do you have a favorite theme that you've had over the course of your career, whether it be the current one in WWE that I think it was either you or, yeah, I think you mentioned this in Table for Three, that it was actually originally reserved for James Storm, had he come in right before you, which would have been cool as well. But do you have a favorite entrance theme that you've used over the course of your career, regardless of where it was?
I've had some good ones throughout, but I would say WWE being unique to me.
Mhm.
I know it may have been written for James Storm, but it was mine. Like it suits me to a T. It fits me
Yeah.
perfectly. It was meant to be, and therefore I think it's one of my favorite for sure. It was so different than everybody else's. Even at the Royal Rumble, nobody was hating on my entrance music, which was cool. Normally
Yeah.
you don't have great entrance music. Mine was fantastic and still is.
Yeah, no, it skyrocketed to the top of the iTunes charts literally within days of your debut, which was awesome. So you re-signed, you've talked about this before, but you re-signed with WWE following your debut in 2016. Back in 2019, and I know Gallows and Anderson have gone on the record before talking about how you guys wanted to go to AEW or they did or whatever, or show up on that first Dynamite show. Were you ever close at any point to that happening, or was that just more of a their situation, or what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, I mean, listen, like I said before, this is a business, and I'm going to go where business is best for AJ
Mhm.
Styles. Um, I like WWE. I like everything about it. I know it. I'm used to it. I don't want to leave it. Uh, this is a business, though. This is what we do for a living. Was it close? I wouldn't say it was close for
Mhm.
me. Like I said, I want to be in WWE. So, yeah, I mean, the situation with Gallows and Anderson, everything that's going on, maybe they should have went ahead and went that route when the second contracts came around,
Yeah.
But hindsight's 2020, and you've read the dirt sheets and whatnot, and you know how pissed I was about the whole situation, not
Mhm.
not at them, but at the situation.
Yeah.
So, but I think they're happier doing what they're doing now.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then I am happy for them. And that's, like I said, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, and you were a big part of that Bullet Club faction for as long as you were over New Japan from 2014 to 2016, and they just reunited last week with Kenny Omega and the Bucks and whoever else. Is it cool to see the faction still living on and kind of what you taking it to the next level while you were in it? These various incarnations all these years later.
I think so. I mean, it's one of those things where like, how did this get over so well? It was because you had guys who genuinely wanted to hang out together. Like we just didn't, we just weren't together when it came to wrestling. We were together outside of the wrestling ring too. We were actually hanging out, and I think that's why it worked so well for us
Mhm.
at that time. Like we all hang out together, and so seeing those guys, I'm happy for them. I hope they're able to continue what you know they started. What whenever it was 2013 with Finn
Yeah.
Balor.
Yep. Yeah, no, super cool to see. And you mentioned when you re-signed your latest contract in 2019, that would be your last in-ring contract with WWE, regardless of what you do behind the scenes after that. How many in-ring years do you see yourself having left in the company? Is there any timetable, or is it really just whenever it feels right to you?
I think whenever it feels right, some days I feel like I can go, 5, 6 more years, and then some years I'm like, oh man, I could be done this year, So
Hmm.
as you get older, your body, it's just changing. It's just changing. You got to listen to your body and figure out what it can do next. And with my style, it's a little bit different. So I like to push it still to this day, and I'm just going to go as long as I can, as long as I can stay healthy, and just see
Hmm.
what happens, see where it takes me.
And you talked a lot going into WrestleMania 34 a few years ago that match with Shinsuke Nakamura at that event would be the biggest match of your career, at least at that point. That was 3 years ago. Is that still the case 3 years later? Has the Taker match surpassed that from last year? And what were your thoughts on the Nakamura match from Mania in 2018?
Well, I can tell you this: the expectations for me and Nakamura were so high. I don't think anybody could have reached them.
Hmm.
It was a great match. It really was, and it even continued into another story with him and I. But Has it been surpassed? Yeah. I think the match with the Undertaker, even though cinematic, the way it was, would him and I prefer to be in a ring? I think so. In front of thousands and thousands of people, yeah, that it'd been great. But things happen the way they do, and we were able to have a fantastic cinematic match that worked, and it really, really worked. And during the process of filming, you're going, this could be really good. This is really different. So we were excited to see, and for me, a little bit worried too, because you never know how people are going to take these matches. But we thought we had something great, and when you see it back, you're like, wow, that was really great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say it was the match of the year for WWE in 2020. I think it won that award on the bump too, which was cool. Final few questions for you, AJ. Kind of speaking of WrestleMania, you faced Taker last year. You've also faced Randy Orton, Shane McMahon, Chris Jericho, Shinsuke Nakamura at the event. If you've had the choice to close out your career with a final match at WrestleMania, is there any one realistic dream opponent in mind, whether it be someone that you have history with or someone you've never faced before?
I've had this question asked before. I wonder if that question was asked to The Undertaker, would he have said AJ Styles? Mm-hmm. Probably not. I probably wasn't on his list. But you never know who will be. I don't know who that person is who will I will have my last match with. I have no idea who it will be with. But that's okay. That's a good thing. There are plenty other performers out there that could have fantastic matches with me, and in my career, problem is hopefully I can deliver on my last match as well.
Is there any one match that you regard as your greatest, whether it be in WWE or just the entirety of your career up to this point?
Oh man, I've had so many that I'm proud of. Mm-hmm. Whether it be with John Cena at the Royal Rumble. So many matches like that that I've had that I've gone, wow, like you understand. And why was it so important? It's because we didn't go outside the ring. We didn't hit the floor. We stayed in the ring. There was a match that Tanahashi and myself had to see who goes into the finals. And it was great. There was something, about it, him being so great at what he does. And even, the triple threat match that I had with Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe and TNA, there's so many matches like mm-hmm. that throughout my career that stick out like, whoa, that was big. But we're not done yet. There's still some matches that can be done like that. And I'm excited to have those as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, people can relive the Royal Rumble debut of AJ Styles on WWE Untold this Sunday on the WWE Network. It's a great documentary. I implore everyone to check it out. Longtime fan AJ, really appreciate the time, man. I appreciate it a lot. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Take care.